Hey, it's Saturday. I just finished my sermon prep for my Sunday tomorrow. Maybe you have as well, pastors. I talked to a young man this week. He said he preached his first sermon ever this past Sunday at his church. I asked how it went, and he said, I feel like it went really well. I feel like I did, a good job. And so I began to ask him why he felt that way. And that's what stirred this post right now. I want to go over with you. When you're done with your sermon prep, and hopefully you're done, many of us, we aren't done until maybe the moment we step up on the stage. I've been there. But for the most part, we finish Saturday nights, maybe early Sunday mornings. Here are some things that I would encourage you to walk through after 42 years of ministry before you ever preach. Number one, when you get up to preach, remember that not everybody, in fact, a lot of people no longer have context for Bible stories or Bible characters. When you quote a Pauline verse, and a lot of people know his background, his struggles, his ups, his downs, his whippings, beatings, shipwreck, a lot of people don't know anything about him. When you quote a Bible story about Adam or Noah or Moses, remember there's probably about 50% of the people in your church who might not be quite clear on who it is or what it's about. So make sure you always share context with the scripture, whether it's regarding the character or the time or the history. That always helps draw people in and make your message a little more, well, applicable and understandable. Second would be your audience. Who's in your audience tomorrow? Now, you might have the same 75 people or the same 375 people every Sunday, but the truth is the more specific you are in applying your message and thinking through who's in your audience, typically the better it is. And again, who's not in your audience? Because I really believe you have to begin to preach to who's not in your audience in order for them to show up. So maybe there you have a void like a lot of churches, young women, ages 16 to 24. How does your message apply to them? And what are you saying that would speak directly to them? Because even if they're not there, the people in your church are going to run into those same people and say, hey, I heard something this week that you might want to, check out. But the point is simply this: unless you know your audience and have it in your message, specifically who you want to hit, you don't really hit anything. Look, a good spiritual message is just that, a good spiritual message. But it loses its ability to really be applied and grow and be planted if you don't know who it's specifically for. I have a pretend audience in my mind of who I'm preparing my message for. Could be a single mom, could be a young 18-year-old girl, could be a 28-year-old guy who's looking for meaning in life. It could be the dad who's pretending the spiritual walk. It could be the mom who's frustrated with her kids or the wife who's frustrated with her husband. But I try to put wheels on the message and make it applicable. You can't hit everyone every Sunday, but as long as you keep rotating that thought process, you'll find your sermon, whether it's a great sermon or not, it'll be much more applicable and much more understandable by your audience. And then finally, are you going to present the gospel? Any sermon without gospel presentation is really just a really nice talk. The point of our jobs is to bring the gospel, not only Monday through Saturday when we're out and about, but Sunday morning specifically. Are you going to present the gospel clear, short, concise, and then ultimately give people a chance to respond? To share the gospel without a response is just you're cheating. So you're cheating people. So make sure you share the gospel. You understand what that is. It can be shared under a minute. Give people an opportunity to respond. And then more importantly, at the end of that, is there a follow-up? Will you put some material in their hands? See, a lot of times we struggle with having people raise their hands like, I want to follow Jesus, or come forward, I want to follow Jesus. But the truth is if it's just a quiet decision, and then you say afterwards, if you've made this decision, we have material for you, they're even less likely to pick up the material. A decision that is acknowledged in front of man is much more likely to be lived out. And in fact, someone who after they make that decision is baptized is much more likely, statistically said, to live out that faith the rest of their life. Some things to think about. It's uncomfortable, you think, but the truth is if it's the most important decision they'll ever make, you should be celebrating it with them. And that's also the easiest way to acknowledge who they are and put follow-up discipleship materials in their hands, get to know them, their contact information, and again, introduce them to the family of God. There's your checklist. I hope you follow these things because it helps you go from a church focused on church growth to a church focused on evangelism. And that's what it's about, folks. It's about reaching people for Jesus and discipling, not simply having a fun message with a great illustration or a cool video or the best worship or the best coffee. Those are great, but we can get those online. I can stop at Starbucks and watch it from my kitchen. What I want is a church that is called to the gospel and what God has called us to be as pastors. This is, again, the Connected Church. If you'd like to be on our mailing list, please reach out to me at heckman@generations.com. Until tomorrow, preach like your hair's on fire. Well, I'm going to preach like my head's on fire.